In the moments that we become aware of the thoughts, the patterns, the insecurities of the lower ego, in that moment when you see it, you transcend it. Because in that moment, who sees it? It is the witness that sees it, the witness you know of in meditation. It is your higher self that sees the ego at play, sees it for what it is. And in those moments, those are the God-given gifts. Those moments are the miracles in our lives. And sometimes they're the moments when we're on our knees and we think they're the worst moments of our lives, and they are the greatest gifts in our lives. Because those are the moments that show us what needs healing. What within us is a misperception when we haven't seen the truth of a situation. When our conditioning and beliefs have led us to see the world in a certain way, and suddenly we see it differently. We see the games we were playing. We see what we were playing out from our past, from past lives. So those moments are transcendent moments. And like I say, they're often when we're on our knees. And often in those moments, we become aware that we are one. There is no duality, this higher self and this lower personality self. They become one. We become one with the soul, with the higher self, because we see the ego at play. And once you see it, you can't not know. You can't not know the truth about who you are and about what is playing. In that moment, the duality ends. We shine the light of our conscious awareness on that within us which is unconscious. And this is what we're here to do. And when we do this, we raise our individual level of consciousness, of conscious awareness. We expand our consciousness. And in that moment that we expand our consciousness, we expand the consciousness of the whole of humanity, because we are one. There is no separation. And so in that moment of seeing your ego at play, of seeing some truth about yourself that you didn't realize before, in that moment you contribute to increasing the consciousness of the whole of humanity. And this is an act of service. So to see your own ego from the witness, from the place of that which sees, that which knows, this is an act of service. This is why we as souls incarnate. This is why we are down here, to spiritualize matter, to bring that light of consciousness, the light of the higher self, and shine it on that which is still in the darkness, that which is unknown to us. I think of our consciousness like an iceberg. So we have that which we can see above the surface of the water. That's what the aspects of ourself we are aware of, we are consciously aware of. But there's a whole lot more under the surface of the water that is unconscious. And it's the unconscious conditionings, beliefs, paradigms, things from past lives, things that we've learnt as children, things other people have told us. All of these things govern our behavior, govern our choices. And when we suddenly see some choices and some behaviors that we know no longer serve us, in that moment we make them conscious. And when we make them conscious, we have a choice, because we can't not know about them. Now we can continue on with the behavior knowing it is not right and true and good. We can continue on with that behavior, but we know there's a little message, there's an uncomfortable feeling inside of us telling us we know it's not right. We know it's something that needs to shift. We know we need to let it go. And so to walk a spiritual path, to walk your talk, to walk your theosophy, you've got to be prepared to be brutally honest with yourself. And this level of integrity is challenging, okay? But it is an act of service, this level of integrity, this level of honesty and commitment to not just learning about theosophy, but living theosophy. Not just learning about a spiritual life and knowing all the right words and the right text, but knowing how to apply it. And so this walking your talk, this is the integral part. When your personality vehicle coordinates itself, when it becomes more integrated, when the different aspects line up, if you like, there becomes an ability for this vehicle to work as an integrated whole, as a coordinated unit. And when this happens, the soul can really use the personality vehicle. It can start to really communicate through the Antakarana, through the Rainbow Bridge, with the personality vehicle. And that energy and light of the soul just comes shining down. And often we wind up with periods of our life or an entire lifetime of just one challenge after another that presents to us the perfect situation to see that which needs healing within us. And we have a choice in that moment. We can respond to the challenge, and we can take the steps to let go of what needs to be let go of, to realize that in any given situation, what we saw as truth was just our perception, and it wasn't the truth of a situation. Because truth doesn't change. What changes is our ability to see it, to know it. And that word knowing it comes from something so deep inside of you. The knower within you knows truth. Your soul is truth, beauty, and goodness. So you know these because you recognize them, because they are what you are. They resonate with you. You vibrate with those. And so in any moment that you see a truth, and you're prepared to let go of a particular paradigm, a particular belief system, a particular conditioned way of thinking, in that moment you transcend. Those are the moments that lift you up into the full light and glory of who you are, which is a son of God. In those moments, the soul you don't only connect with the soul, you connect right through to the monadic spark within you. You know your Godhead, you become the Son of God. And these moments, these what we call, oh my God, realizations, they are gifts. We don't always see them as that, because often it's in the depths of the darkest hour that they come. And this is when the light shines. It's often when you hit rock bottom, you have to hit rock bottom there's only way to go, one way to go, and that's up. And your soul, once you're on a spiritual path, you know you came into this incarnation with a contract with your soul to develop certain qualities, to let go of some past beliefs, some values, some conditioning, some issues, if you like, from previous lives. You came in with a remit in this lifetime, and you may or may not be aware of what some of those issues are, but they'll come up time and time again. Oh, why has this come up again? Why is this happening to me again? There's a very good reason. Your soul is attracting perfect situations and challenges in your life to bring those things up for your awareness, for your attention, for your consciousness to shine on them, and you make a choice. You have free will. But in the moment that you make a choice to transcend and see the ego, in the moment you see it at play, you step back from it. Because to see it, you can't be involved in the drama. You've stepped back from it. You've detached from it. It's the only way you can see it. And in that moment that you have a choice to let go of the ego's hold on your mind. It is simply a change of mind. In the writings of A Course in Miracles, it is written that we can only be in love or fear. The two cannot coexist. And that fear is simply an absence of love. Love is connection. Love is to know you are unified with all. You are not separate. Fear is to feel disconnected. So in the moment that we return to love, in the moment that we see the ego, we return to love. And in that moment, we let go of fear, we let go of the illusion. Because what your ego does and what your ego is, the ego defined in a theosophical way is, I suppose you'd say, the thoughts of the lower mind, the desires of the lower astral body, that protect our view of who we are, that keep us where we are in the illusion that we're in, and we don't want to change. Okay? And so this lower mind, the thoughts, this way of seeing things, this holding on to a certain set of parameters or beliefs, this astral body that desires certain things and wants life to go a certain way and gets annoyed and angry when it doesn't. All of this is the ego, and the ego will protect its world because the ego is an illusion. The ego does not exist. We are love. We are one with each other and with God. And when we know this oneness, there is no ego. There is no ego anymore. And we realize that in the world there is only love. And this is a very hard concept for our mind to deal with, but your heart goes, yes, because your heart feels it, knows it. We are love. Love connects us, pervades us, runs through all that is. And we know this. I can feel it in this room. Feel the energy in this room at this moment. It has beautifully come together, and I feel the oneness of the energy in this room. Because what is listening to my talk? The ego might be chattering away saying, don't like what she's saying, not sure about that, that doesn't fit with this. Let it go, just hear. Just listen. Okay. Those people who challenge us the most in our life, and the biggest challenges in our life, are our greatest teachers. Okay? Sometimes the most intense relationships in our life hold a mirror. And they hold a mirror for us to see that which needs healing within us. They hold a mirror up for us to see our own ego at play, playing out. I mean, Shakespeare said all the world is a stage and we are but merely players. So we are, the truth within us is just watching the illusion play out. Still in the world, but not of it. Okay. When we align our mind with the mind of God, the Godhead within us, spirit, the monad, the soul, higher self, whatever words you want to use, when we align our mind, we let go of the ego's hold. And actually in these moments, the ego will get even stronger. It'll get quite stroppy about the fact that you are challenging its very existence. And in those moments, we align with God and we become our Godhead. We step into not just the energy of the higher self or the soul, but the monadic energy is able to come through, that spark that is within us, because we know through the crown we experience the connection, not just knowing and using the words that we are one, but knowing the truth of that, experiencing the truth of that, which is a different thing. And in this moment, my will becomes thy will. There is no separation between the will of God and in Alice Bailey's work, the plan of love and light in the world. There is no difference between that and your will and your life's plan and your soul's path. So as we change our belief about our separateness from God, our separateness from each other, we step into who we truly are, into an understanding of who we are. So the ego, you can think of the ego as the dweller on the threshold, the sum total of all that needs healing within us, the unconscious, that which we haven't shined that light of conscious awareness on yet. We can think of the ego, if we look at the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was teaching Arjuna to see his ego. That's the whole point of the beautiful work. Open any page on any day and that work will sing to your soul because of the inherent truths within it. And it's just simple. He's showing Arjuna the workings of his ego mind so that he has a choice. We have free will. We have a choice to transcend it in the moment we see it. When we let go the ego, in that moment we build the Antakarana, the rainbow bridge. So we understand that there's this bridge between our higher self or our soul, the Buddhi Atma Manas, higher Manas, and between our lower personality vehicle that operates in the world and is still coming into an integrated, coordinated whole so that it is integral. As this bridge opens, and it can open through many lifetimes, and it's a rainbow bridge because of all the different rays that we come down upon and open that beautiful bridge. And as it opens wider and clearer, the energy of the soul comes down and can infuse the personality vehicle. And this will bring more moments of seeing the truth of a situation, of being that observer, stepping back and seeing a truth. This enables us eventually, when that personality vehicle gets to a stage where it is of real use to the soul, the rainbow bridge is open, the ego is really, if you like, diminished, or may actually have quietened down or left altogether. Then the energy of the soul comes down and infuses the personality. And before this we had the monad, and we had that monadic spark, the monad being the very Godhead, the very highest connection to the solar logos, to all that is, to spirit, to God, however you want to word it, to the Tao. You can see it in any context you like. And then we had this threesome, so we had the monad pouring down this monadic spark into we have our higher self, our soul that communicates, has a connection with that energy. Then we have our personality vehicle. So we have three folds, three aspects. Often the monad we are unaware of, so we feel like we're in a duality. And then eventually, once the soul comes down and infuses the personality, we're down to two. There's still a guiding monad. And increasingly, as that soul infuses the personality, the light and the wisdom and the energy of that connection with the monad becomes stronger. Until eventually the soul is burnt away. The soul is no longer needed. It has served its function, and we become one with all. We become the spark of the monad, the spark of God. We become the God that we are, the sons of God that we are. And this is our destiny. This is what we're here to do, what we're working through lifetime after lifetime, challenge after challenge, ego drama after ego drama. In A Course in Miracles, it gives us a beautiful key. All the ageless wisdom, every piece of text has a key. And these keys are there to help us unlock the next stage of our own development. And sometimes the keys find us, and sometimes we find the keys. And sometimes we'll be reading something or watching a film, and the key will just jump up out at us and, oh, okay, I see that, I understand that. We know it as a gift. But these keys, one of the keys in the Course in Miracles is a true understanding of forgiveness. And forgiveness is something in the world that is not properly understood. We have this idea that when somebody does us wrong, or they do something which that hurts us, or we have some kind of grievance with them, justifiably, from our ego's point of view, when someone does us something wrong, that the thing to do as a theosophist, as someone who's working from the heart, is to bestow forgiveness upon that person, to forgive them. And this is not what forgiveness is. This is not how forgiveness works at all. Now, don't get me wrong, forgiveness never condones a particular behaviour that's not operating from a place of the higher self. But forgiveness has really got very little to do with the other person, if anything at all. Forgiveness is to do with you coming back to you returning to love, you returning to your own true self. It's an atonement, an at-one-ment. So in the moment that you open to forgiveness, so we're not bestowing it, that's the ego. To bestow forgiveness on someone, that's just the ego. That's a judgment. That's a, oh, I am holier than thou type of attitude, if you like. But when we open to true forgiveness, we are humbled by its power. And there is a washing away of all resentment, all fear, anger, and all the manifestations of fear to do with that person or that situation. And there is a return to love. And we see the soul in that person. And we see the personality with all its human faults and failings. And we recognize the soul in ourselves and our own human faults and failings. And that at-one-ment, that feeling of returning to a place of peace and acceptance after a conflict or a challenge with another, that is true forgiveness. And ultimately what we come to realize is that the person we most needed to forgive was ourselves. We're one with that person, they are us. How can it be otherwise? And so forgiveness as a key in the Course in Miracles is a very powerful one, and that literature was written for today, giving us keys that were missed in previous teachings. So everything has these keys. All the ancient wisdom has keys, and obviously the language used and the way it's presented will sing to different people's souls. And so someone might find transcendent moments in one piece of text and someone else might find it in another. It doesn't matter, it's that you find it. And if you have a heart that's open and a heart that's increasingly working with the mind, you will find those. And just before I go on to sort of a little bit more practical way, how can we see the ego? I just want to talk a little bit more about energy. Those of you who know me know that energy is one of my favorite subjects. We are energetic beings. Okay, we vibrate with a certain energy. Science tells us that we are not solid matter at all. There is more space in us than there is anything solid. It's just energy or spirit, if you like, vibrating at different vibrations. So that which appears solid is just vibrating at a lower vibration. In actual fact, I think I read if they were to condense all of the solid matter and all of the atoms of your body, it comes to a tiny dot made with a pencil. We're not solid at all, we are energy. And we're living in an energy soup, is how I put it. We are bumping up against the energy of everybody else all of the time. We are aware of, and science now recognizes, our etheric body, our energy body, and not just the etheric, the astral body, the mental body that surrounds us and makes up our aura. And so every interaction you have with another person involves energy. And as you become more sensitive to energy, you'll start to feel energy more. People already use this in common language now. Even 5 years ago, people wouldn't talk about feeling the energy in a room or feeling the energy of a situation. If you walk into a room, if there's been an argument in that room, nobody has to say anything. You can feel it, can't you? Some places feel good energetically, and other places it's just this uncomfortable feeling. You can't put your finger on it, but there's something not quite right. Some people's energy feels really good, and other people's energy you're not so sure about. And some people, when you're in their presence, you feel energized, and other people you feel really drained. So that we are... Oh, sorry, Damon. We are exchanging energy all the time. And this exchange of energy gives you a real clue to the ego. Because whenever you have an uncomfortable feeling, even if your mind can't grasp what it is, it means ego is at play somehow. It's just we haven't seen the truth of it yet. And so we listen to that uncomfortable feeling, because that is the language of the intuition. It's the language of your soul, of the buddhi. It's a part of you that maybe the lower mind has not yet quite grasped the communication with yet. It's a part of you that is wise beyond the rational thinking, intellectual mind. And so often we will come away and we'll have this uncomfortable feeling, and I get this all the time. I can't pinpoint with my mind or say what's going on. I might be able to at a later date. I just know something's not right. This is always a sign that there's power play going on. And whenever there's what I call power play, whenever there's people operating from a paradigm of power over, or taking someone's power, or controlling, or taking someone's energy, or any of these ego games, there is an uncomfortable feeling. So to develop your intuition will help you to start to see, because there's something not right here, which will mean that you will keep it in mind till you are able to see what it is. But this energy of your chakras, as the chakras open naturally with your own spiritual development, and most people walking around in the world, the chakras from the diaphragm down are open and working. Sometimes they're spinning too fast, sometimes sluggishly, too slow. They're just like sort of valves, they're like vortices. They allow energy into the body. And in many ways they prevent too much energy coming in, because there's so much energy in our environment that if all of our chakras open right at this moment, it would burn away our etheric body out. We're not necessarily ready or have a vibrational energy that can handle that yet. So they open in their own good time, and they allow an energy in direct relation to your own soul's development, your own place on your soul's path, if you like. So the lower chakras often give us, a study of the chakras will give you insights into the areas of your psyche that still need healing, how your ego is particularly playing out. some of the patterns and paradigms that you have that you might not be aware of. And often we see these in others much more easily than we see them in ourselves. As we start to move from the solar plexus chakra, Manipura, up into Anahata, the heart, this, if you like, this line across the center of our body is the line of transcendence. As we lift the energies from the lower centers up into the higher, the clearinghouse is the solar plexus, and in the solar plexus we find much that is not healed yet. We find unexpressed anger. We find issues that weren't dealt with. We actually find them physically trapped in the body as energy. And this is where practices like yoga or Tai Chi, Qigong, Reiki, any energy work can help to free the actual energy. And as the physical or energy releases, so the emotions release, and there is an opportunity to see the truth of a situation. And we have a profound healing that works not just on I see that from an intellectual point of view, but healing that involves the whole of us and is transcendent in that way. It is soul healing. And so working with the solar plexus, as the fact that you are all here means that your heart chakra will be opening. Many people in the world today, we're seeing more and more response to the second ray of love wisdom. We're seeing more and more hearts opening. Even our language talking about the heart and heart energy and going forward from the heart and bringing our feeling language is developing. We have emojis on our phones that enable us to express with the heart. Do you know what I mean? The heart is opening in so many people in the world. And this is the opportunity to heal the ego. It's raising it from the solar plexus to the heart is when it is transcended. It's when the energy is transformed. And then increasingly we're seeing more and more people opening the throat. And when the throat opens, there is truthful communication. And this communication is not just out into the world, it's truthful communication within yourself. So it's being honest with yourself. And as the throat opens, there's a chance for speaking with integrity and compassion. When the heart opens, and if you were looking at it from a theosophical point of view, what we're moving from is the lower astral body experience of the emotions here, where love is conditional. I'll love you if you love me. I'll love you if you behave in a certain way. I won't love you if you do X, Y, Z sort of thing. Fear, jealousy, worry, all the stuff that depletes our vibration and our energy is in here. When we lift up into the heart, we see true unconditional love. I'll love you anyway. I'll love all. An opening to a feeling of love, of incredible love for the whole of humanity, for the whole of the planet, for the animal kingdom, for the plant kingdom, a reverence for the mineral kingdom. There is forgiveness, a true understanding and appreciation of forgiveness. There is compassion. So pity is in here. When we dive into the emotional drama with somebody else, we don't help them. We just join them in their drama, this pity. Look at the response to when Lady Diana died. People absolutely crying with intense pain. They were diving in at a solar plexus level. And the solar plexus can be collective. Remember, everything that relates to you as an individual relates to us as a whole. When you lift up into the heart, into compassion, you are able to detach from the emotional drama. You can still feel empathy for the person, but that detachment enables you to help them and the helping is that you enable them through your words, through sometimes saying nothing, just listening with an open heart. You enable them to lift themselves from here up to here. So that just being there for someone, that compassion, that acting Okay, down here, maybe I can get really caught up in the miseries of the world. Up here, I can say, okay, what can I do? I have some power in this world. I have a laptop that I can sign petitions and have a voice in the world. I have some money energy I can direct toward people who are making a difference in the world. So compassion up here enables us to act from a higher place, if you like, and transcend. The ego is really involved here. Up here we transcend. Up here we have tolerance, acceptance, courage. Now courage means there isn't an absence of fear. Oh boy, the fear is there. You just do it anyway. You do what is right anyway. And all of this is working toward, we are learning how to have right relations. And if you read some of the Alice Bailey work, you'll understand that part of our remit as a humanity and as individuals, because you can't separate the two, is that we learn to have right relations. So right relations within ourselves. So right relations between your personality and your soul. Right relations with those you're closest to. Right relations within a family group, within a community, within a nation, with other nations, within humanity. And this is all, when we see the ego, we see what is not right. We see that what is stopping or getting in the way of right relations. So what I want to do now is just look at how do we see the ego, what tools and keys are we given as Theosophists that can help us. I'm assuming we have a commitment to living a spiritual life and not just knowing, not just studying it. We want to actually live and breathe Theosophy. So I'm coming from a place, if that's what we want to do, how can we do that? How are we helped? What keys and tools are available to us? And your soul, as soon as you start working in this area, goes, yes. Where, it's like grabbing the reins of the chariot in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna's leading the way. Okay? And some of the tools, we have some Theosophy. I've studied many different things in my long or short lifetime, whichever way you look at it. And Theosophy is a beautiful gift because so much is in a nutshell there for you. Of all the things I've come across, this one, you're truly blessed. It's it's absolutely full of gifts to transcend the ego. For example, esoteric psychology, an understanding of the rays that govern your own particular individual. So the rays of your mind, how your mind is likely to work, how your mind responds to that vibratory energy, the rays of your emotions, the rays of your personality help you to know thyself, because that's what this transcending the ego is all about. It's about knowing yourself and gradually letting go of that small ego view of yourself and stepping into the light and glory of who you truly are. Because I think it's Nelson Mandela, I'm not very good at remembering quotes word for word, but he said it's not our light we're afraid of. Sorry, it's not our darkness and our fears that we're afraid of. We're quite happy to sit shoulder to shoulder with the aspects of ourselves we don't like. It's our light and our awesome magnificence that we are afraid of. And we're scared to step into that and to let others see that. But that's what we're here to do, that spiritualizing matter. And the beauty is when you do that, any given moment where you step into who you truly are, you give everybody around you permission to do the same. In fact, you ignite something in them. And this is inspirational. And this is why sometimes you'll just read something, or you'll go to someone and someone will just say a couple of words and they go right in. And they change and they turn a key within you, and you can never be the same again. And this is what you do for others when you step into who you are, when you let the fear go and you step into love, because the two can't coexist. You're either in fear or you're in love. And if you're feeling uncomfortable, you're not in love. Does that make sense? It seems very simple, sounds very simple, and I know it is not simple at all. So once we know the ray of our soul, for example, we get an idea of the qualities needed, the qualities we're needing to develop in this lifetime. And this starts to give us some guidelines for the path we're taking. It starts to set our compass. And then what happens naturally is life will present to you the things that are in the way of you following that path, and they're ego. And then it's your choice whether to let them go and move the next step forward, or to stay where you are and go, not letting that one go, far too attached to that. That's who I am. That's the way I am, and I ain't going to change. And that's a choice, and that's okay. But the soul does tend to up the ante a bit, and the messages will get louder and clearer and stronger and harder, lifetime after lifetime. So really it's easier just to go, okay, I surrender, to go into the woo-wee, the Tao, and just say, show me the way, lead me, show me. And that sort of place of humility is a beautiful place to be. Not always an easy place, because sometimes life will pull you out of that, and you just need to know how to come back. How to come back to your Father's house. You know, we're all the prodigal son that goes off and gets caught up in the world of ego. But once we realize it, once we see it, we can come home. We can always come home. There's unconditional love there always. It doesn't go away. It doesn't matter what we've done or who we are or how many lifetimes we've lived dreadful lives. Or if this one didn't start off so well. Do you know what I mean? There's always love. So esoteric astrology as well. Ted can look at your chart, or Nolan can look at your chart and give you ideas of the areas, the ego, the areas that need healing, the past karmic relationships that are here for 2 or 3 or a group of you to work through some issues that will heal you all, and you can all move forward. And that is a real tool. It's a real insight into your own psyche, into what's below the iceberg, and it really does shine a light into that unconscious and help you to draw it up into the conscious light so that you can do something with it. The most karmic relationships are our greatest teachers. They're not the easiest. I have plenty in my chart, and it's a rocky road, but they are our greatest teachers. They really are. And once we see them as the gift that they are, we see that. So one of the things I do whenever someone is stuck in a situation and they don't know how, they know that some behavior doesn't serve them. They know that some pattern keeps repeating in their life or in their lives. They don't know how to move out of it. To ask, how does this serve me? And you're like, well, why would this illness serve me? Why would this behavior pattern that turns up all the time, how could that possibly serve me? But if you are really, really honest with yourself, you will find that there is some way it is serving you, and that's the attachment. That's the key to letting it go. That's where you can cut the ties. Ask how it serves you. Even the worst situation in your life, ask, how does this serve me? And it might be simply that it's showing you what you don't want. Because remember, we see the ego in the moment. If you like, it's when we realize what we are not that we step into what we are. When we see what we are not. Because when we see the ego, we are seeing what we are not. It's an illusion. Very powerful one, and unfortunately, because everybody buys into it, it builds the power. But I'm going to talk about that at the end. So some other ways that we can, meditation, and this is an absolute key to being able to see the ego, see it at play. Because when you meditate, you step into the witness. Your soul meditates all the time. And what you do is, if your soul's meditating at this lovely, peaceful, deeply insightful vibration, you just join it for a while. And so when you meditate, you, in your mind, you discipline, if you like, yourself to step back from your thoughts of the lower mind, the thoughts from the desire nature, and see them. And you just get used to watching them. And you watch them from a non-judgmental place, but you see them. So what is seeing the thoughts? You can't be those thoughts if you're seeing them. And this is the power of meditation, to give you that detachment to see. And the other thing that meditation does is you actually spend time with your soul. It's like deciding every day to go and have a cup of tea with your soul and listen to what it has to say. I'll spend time with that highest part of me that is all-knowing, has everything that I will ever need to know in this life, all the guidance, all the help, all the love, all the support, it's all there. Just got to switch off from where it isn't and go inward. It awakens the Ajna chakra, so it helps to start awakening the third eye that enables you to see clearly. It gives you time to hear. The soul doesn't speak in words. It's not going to put a message on your fridge saying, do this today, or this is what you need to heal. It will speak in symbols. It'll speak in all sorts of different ways. And often it's more a feeling, a pull in a certain direction. Or sometimes the soul will bring into your life someone else who speaks the words to you. And you're like, oh, yeah. You asked a question of your higher self in meditation, and next thing your neighbour's telling you the answer. Or you see it written on a magazine, or you read it in a book, and you're like, oh, thank you. It changes our mind. So meditation changes our mind. And I mean, science goes in there and it actually increases different parts of your brain and blood flow to different parts. It increases the grey matter. It enhances it. It keeps the brain tissue younger. There's so many good physical reasons to meditate, if not all these more esoteric reasons. And so meditation gets in there and changes your mind. And this enables you to see the ego and therefore transcend it. So one of the keys to understanding the ego comes from the Buddhist tradition. And in the Buddhist tradition they talk about harmlessness, living from a place of harmlessness. And this is harmlessness in thought, intent and deed. Okay? And when you live from a place of harmlessness, there is no ego. If there is a thought in your mind that is harmful, it is ego-driven. It's that simple. Your emotions are there. I can't remember where I read it. It was the other day. Our ability to emote or to experience emotions, to allow the emotions to flow, is the soul's way of healing us. The emotions are there to heal us. If you like, if everything's stuck and crystallized and solid in the lower astral nature, it's not going anywhere. Nothing's flowing in to get it to flow out. There's no movement. Okay, so as we learn how to let the emotions flow, but I'm not saying we just let them flow in a way, it's still got to be harmless. And this is where the opening of the heart helps us to speak our truth with compassion in a harmless way that still speaks our truth, still says this is the behavior I need, or this behavior respects me and this behavior doesn't respect me. but to say it in a way that the soul in the other person hears it, even if their ego doesn't want to take any notice. Relationships that open your heart reveal our vulnerabilities and insecurities. They get in there. And this is why quite often, if we've been hurt in the past, we build walls around our heart, and we might open it to some people and not others, or we might not open it at all because it's just too painful. The world is too much of a painful place. But one of the signs of an open heart is vulnerability, is to say, this is who I am, my heart is open, and yes, you can hurt me, but you don't hurt me ultimately because I stand in who I am. But that these give us the opportunity to heal and to transcend. So those close relationships that get in there in your heart, they're the ones that help us to heal. They're there to serve us. So I was talking about power play. Whenever there is the love of power and not the power of love, this is ego. Whenever you know that somebody is not treating, that there is not truth, beauty and goodness in that interchange or that relation with somebody else, there is ego. And sometimes we will see the ego in others more easily than we see it in ourselves. We can choose to just step away until that person is ready to see it themselves, or sometimes we just name it, not in an emotional way. Sometimes you can just name what you see, and this will cut across all power games. It's a technique from psychotherapy, and you just, in honest, open words, say what is going on, what you see, and you will find it cuts through power games and ego paradigms like a beautiful sword. It just cuts it through, severs that power play that's going on. So there are lots of books and talks and films that you can read that challenge your view of who you are, and they will throw light on those parts of you that need healing. And also what they will do is they will throw light on the human collective ego, because remember that we are connected, we are not separate, and we are part of this human collective ego, if you like, the sum total of all of the astral bodies, of all of the lower minds, of all that are living. And there is a collective ego, and sometimes we might even recognize when we're being pulled into the power of the collective ego, when we're following on a behavior because it's the norm. We were having a discussion last night. What was that quote someone said about insanity being insane? No, sanity, I can't remember what it was. But really, if you look at our world, is it a sane place? Do people, for example, in politics, you can either be pulled into the fear paradigm, you can be pulled into the negative doom and gloom fear, or you can step back and you can trust completely in the will to good inherent in all of mankind, and the fact that every person on this planet has a soul that is knocking on their door of their ego, waiting to be opened, waiting for that door to be opened. You can see all the good that is going on in the world. You can know that as light workers yourself. HPB, like I say, I don't remember the exact words, but she basically said that selfish material thoughts take a lot of energy. They're very dense in their vibration. They take a lot of energy to create. So we have a world full of a lot of this really heavy energy. She said when you work on the inner planes with light, in the higher energies of your higher self, the energy is much lighter and it's much easier to move it around it's much more powerful. And she said it only takes a few light workers working on the higher planes to undo all of that heavy, selfish energy of the masses. And so if you are a theosophist with a commitment to working in this way, in an act of service, don't buy into the fear paradigms. See the light in mankind. See the good that is going on. Send your energy and your money energy and your support energy in the directions of those who are working to, mankind has an iceberg, and there are lots of people who are shining that light down into the unconscious, the dweller on the threshold of the whole of us. And so support that. You can buy into a different way. Don't find yourself, being drawn into the conversations or the knocking of this person or that person. Step back. Remember the harmlessness. There are books you can read that help. The Alice Bailey books Sing to Me. I find the keys in those quite easy to find. Other people will find keys in other books. But I know that if you want to look at the world situation, Glamour a World Problem is one of her books that helps. Or if you want to look at your own, a treatise on white magic will help you to see the ego. But books will find you. You'll be looking through books and one will jump out. Next thing you're reading it and it's got some real keys and some gems in there for you. So once you start working with the soul works with you in a beautiful way. So we have a choice. We can believe in the brotherhood of humanity and we can live that belief, or we can just talk about it. Okay? We, as a theosophical society, can let all the ego dramas run the show, or we can step out of those into what we talk about and work from that place. We can support and work with. There's numerous global organizations. There's so many global meditation initiatives that you can join to work as a light worker if you want to work on the inner planes to help deal with some of the material and selfish energy in the world. I know I work a lot with Lucius Trust. Every day I'm working in triangles with people all around the world, triangles of light that are bringing down positive energy into the world, and that's a daily commitment. Remember, whenever you work to shine a light on your own ego, to increase your own consciousness, that is service. That is your service. That is why you are here. Your soul will sing. And the beauty is your soul will infuse you with energy. So much energy will pour through your etheric body. You'll be opening up chakras, opening up to that energy, that supportive energy, opening up to energies from other beings that are helping. Okay, you open up to the light, basically, and see yourself as the light that you are, and know that you are that. So there's lots you can do, and it's about accepting our own responsibility. So our own responsibility, because we are one, this illusion of separateness could disappear in a moment if we all chose that way of thinking. It would go like that. It's not difficult. This is what the age of Aquarius will ask us to do, to work together in groups, to support each other, to gently show the ego in each other, to help each other heal, to recognize that is your healing, to forgive, to understand forgiveness in its true sense. And this, when there comes a time where there's a critical mass of people working with the light, whose light is of a certain vibration, it will lift the whole of humanity. It will lift the masses, if you like. And I can feel that critical mass building. And if you tune in to the right energy channels through your media or through what you allow into your own energy field, if you tune in to the right ones, you all know that the light is growing in humanity, and it's on a curve like this. It's on an exponential curve, and that when we reach that critical mass, there will be a mass initiation, and I suspect it will be that of the whole planet and the whole of humanity. We will lift into a new way of living, a new civilization. It may not require the 6th root race to do that. Maybe the 5th will be the one, like Ted's talk, when he's going, someone in years to come is going through the different root races, and they come to the Aryan race and say, that's the one where they made the difference. That's the one, like the Toltecs, or like the Atlanteans. That's the one where they dropped into a world full of conflict. They were polluting the environment. There was so much separation and fear. But, there were enough people there, and they lifted. That was the civilization that did that. And there's no reason. We have the knowledge. We have the intellectual understanding. We just got to live it. And we do that. We are not powerless. We do that in our own individual lives. And then we look to do that as an act of service. There's a question or something I give for your consideration. True service has no ego. Sacrifice does. Have a think about that. So true service, there's no ego involved. But if there's any feeling of sacrifice, there's ego involved. So I suspect in Theosophy this is, we probably could do with sort of a better understanding of the difference between service and sacrifice. And I speak to myself as well as you as I say this. As a mother, sacrifice is a familiar feeling. But when you see your role as a mother as an act of service, it changes completely. You realize you're there as guardians of some souls to help them to step into their light. And suddenly it doesn't feel like a sacrifice, it feels like an absolute gift and an honor. Do you see how that changes the way of thinking? That's just a change, that's just a shift in paradigm. That's a change from fear to love, as an example. So what I would like to do now is, I'm just going to recite to you the mantram, a mantram used by the Lucis Trust from the books of Alice Bailey, which, like I said, resonate with me. And whenever we have these collective meditations, and there's lots of them, you can meditate at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday to ignite the energy of the will to good and all the people of goodwill in the world. All the people, and often they're people that don't even know anything about Theosophy. And this mantram I find very powerful. Sorry, does that mean? No. The souls of men, if you know it, join me. The souls of men are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve, not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of love and light. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love that underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come in insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union dominate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all men love. Namaste. That's me done.